Hello, I'm Cal Wellborn, acarologist with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, Division of Plant Industry in Gainesville, Florida. So starting out with this specimen, we're going to start out low power. This is just 10x. And the first couplet, number of legs, and it's either 4 pairs or 2 to 4 pairs. And it has 4 pairs, so that doesn't help us any. So now we're going to go to oil immersion to look at the stigmata and paratremes if they're present. All right, first couplet, we want to look for 1 to 4 pairs of lateral stigmata posterior to leg 2. I'm going to move to leg 2. This is leg 2. This is the coxal field of leg 3. And nothing here to indicate stigmata or paratremes. It's always a good idea to check both sides in case you're looking at an aberrant specimen. So again, here is the tip of coxal field of leg 3 and the tip of coxal field of leg 2. And if there were stigmata and paratremes posterior to leg 2, they would be in this region. So now we're going to move to the anterior. This is the other part of the couplet, whether they're anterior. And here we're looking at, this is the Naphtha Soma. This is leg 1, the other leg 1. This is the trochanter of leg 2. So we're looking in this region and on the Naphtha Soma for any stigmata or paratremes. Now we can see some tracheal trunks internally in this area. Look carefully, there's one that comes down here. There's one that loops around here. That's a stigmata, that's a stigmata. If you follow the tracheal trunks here, you can see this tracheal trunk goes right to that stigmata, and this one comes right to that one. So it has anterior lateral stigmata. Now we want to look at the clitoral bases located on the anterior, without stigmata posterior to leg 2, stigmata absent or located on the clitoral bases or on anterior prodorsum. In this case, they're on the anterior prodorsum. Coxally fused to the ventral wall. We can look at that right here. And you're going to see that the coxa, this is leg 1, the other leg 1. Here's one coxal field. Here's the other. These are a little more sclerotized, but again, you can see they're not a movable segment. Here's your trochanter. Here's your trochanter. They're not a movable segment. So the coxally fused to the ventral wall. Prodorsal trichobothria present or absent. Let's look for a trichobothria. Still under oil. See these two globular structures? This one, other one over here. If you focus, there's the base of it. This is in a pit with just here's the trichobothria sticking out, the bothridial, the seta, and this is actually the bothridial pit. If you look on move the other side, maybe it's a little clearer. Here's the globular distal end of the seta, focused down, and now we're focused in the actual pit. We're looking at a cross section of the pit here. So they do have prodorsal trichobothria. Podocephalic canal, if we could see it, it would be, if it were visible, I'm not saying it's absent, I'm saying it's not visible, it would be right in this area. Frequently people mistake the podocephalic canal for paratremes, but there's no podocephalic canal visible in this specimen. So it's an Acariformes. Go to couplet 3. Clystery reticulate, usually with reduced fixed digit or modified movable digit. Let's look at the clycera. I'm moving to the Naphtha Soma. All right. This whole structure is a Naphtha Soma. There's your palps, very short, 1 or 2 segments. There's the pharynx. Mouth is right there in the middle. And this structure here is the movable digit of the chlystra. The other one's right there. It's a small, stylet-like structure. So that's your movable digit. Fixed digit is absent. So the chlystra is modified. Palps, there's not thumb claw, but they're reduced. They're linear, but they're very reduced to just a couple segments. Stigmatal openings, we already determined they were on the anterior lateral surface. Let me move back to the stigmatal openings. There's one. There's the other one. Paratremes, there are no paratremes. So it doesn't have a rutella. And the stigmata and paratremes, stigmata are present, paratremes are absent. So we're in a trombitiformes, prostigmatus, couplet 5. Couplet 5, adults and immatures with only 2 pairs of legs versus adults and immatures with 3 or 4 pairs of legs. All right, we're now back to 10x so we can see the entire mite. And we can see that 1, 2, 3. This structure here is leg 4. Although it's reduced, it's leg 4. So there's 4 pairs of legs. And on this couplet, couplet 5, we want to know whether there's 2 pairs of legs versus 4 pairs of legs. So there's 4 pairs of legs. Go to couplet 8. Now we're going to look at the pretarsal and podium of legs 2 and 3. We'll go back to oil. Okay, we're back to oil. This is leg 1. This is leg 2. We're going to look at the pretarsus of legs 2 and 3. So we'll continue out to the tip of the tarsus on leg 2. Okay, this is the pretarsus, or the tip of the tarsus of leg 2. It says pretarsal and podium of legs 2 and 3 membranous, nude. In this case, we don't see any sclerotized structure. It's just a membranous pad. We'll look at leg 3 also. This is the pretarsus of leg 3. And again, you can see this one is membranous versus pretarsal and podium legs 2 and 3, claw-like, split distally, pad-like, rayed with tenon hairs or absent. In this case, it is membranous. And we've already determined when we found the stigmatal openings that it had anterior lateral stigmatal openings. And in this case, you can only see them if it's a female. Now we haven't gone into the sexing of Tarsonemids. We'll do that a little later, but this happens to be a female. Either way, if you had a male, you could still identify this based on the pretarsus. So it's a heterostigmata. We go to couplet 20. And there are quite a few families in the heterostigmata, so we need to determine which one it is, or if it's one that's of interest to us. And couplet 20, femur genu leg 4 of females fused 3 segments without tarsal claws or impodium. Leg 4 of males usually with 4 segments with a single sessile claw. So I'm going to move to leg 4. All right, here's leg 4. And we'll move to the distal end. There's 1 segment. There's a articulation right there, so that's 1 segment. There's a 2nd segment and a 3rd segment. So it has three segments. We already determined it was a female because it had anterior lateral stigmata. There are no tarsal claws on the impodium of leg 4. Just to go back to that, we see on leg 4 there are a couple of setae, but no claws at all on the tip of leg 4. So this is Tarsonemidae.